Hi, this is Ijama, and I just wanted to quickly pop in and say hello and explain some things that have been going on. I know I was supposed to do these Facebook Lives every Tuesday and Thursday, but over the last couple of weeks, I was working really long hours to wrap up a what do you call it? A service that I've been putting together for you. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you might recall that I talked about the Etsy sellers resource where it's like the regular Etsy Conversations podcast, except instead of doing interviews, it's purely just going to be audio recordings of how to sell on Etsy and news updates to keep you in the know. So you know how you get the emails from Etsy and how they have new articles added to the seller handbook and just lots of things going on in the community that sometimes you might not be able to keep up with. Well, that's what the Etsy Sellers resource is all about. It's me just keeping you in the know about things that are happening around Etsy, but more importantly, keeping you updated on how to sell on Etsy. And so all those articles that you probably never really get to read in the seller handbook or elsewhere, this is what the seller's resource is for. I started to do some of these recordings on the regular Etsy Conversations podcast, and I heard from a lot of you that you found them helpful and they were saving you time because perhaps you would forget to go back and read the emails that you were getting, and perhaps you missed some things, especially updates that Etsy was making. So that's what this resource is born out of. It is really to take that additional thing to do off your plate. It's to help you just stay on top of things, but in a very convenient way. It's going to be just like the podcast. You can listen to it at your convenience. And I've organized it in such a way that it's easy for you to keep track of what you've listened to and what you haven't, and to pick up where you left off, etc. Now, what you'll see when you go and sign up for the seller's resource is the beginning content. I've just put enough in there for you to be able to start with, to get an idea of what the resource is going to be like, and to start listening to some of the recordings. But every week I'm going to be adding to it. So what is in there now is not what it's not what is going to stay in there. It's going to continuously be growing. But here's the problem. One of the issues with a large library of content is that you might get overwhelmed and not get to it. And that's the last thing I want. And so how I've organized the seller's resource is I've divided it up into stages. And every Monday, I will send an email to people who are subscribed to this new service, telling you what new additions have been added. And so that way, you don't need to go in there and wonder what's new and what's not new and what you might have missed, because you'll get links to the exact new resources that have been added, so you can go in, listen to them, and then be on your way. Some of them are tutorials, so I'll be walking you through how to do things like, say, adding your shop's location to your shop, which is something that's really important for search, but you might not have known about that. How to create coupons, how to run sales, and not just the how-tos, but then sometimes Etsy will come up with new strategies. And these are things that people might miss along the way. And so I will put that new information in there every Monday, at least once a week. You'll get an update from me via email saying, here's all the new content. You can just hop right to it and listen to it and then be on your way. I've designed these to also be really easy to consume. Most of them are less than 10 minutes so that you get the information, you learn what you need to know, and then you can move on. And some are a bit longer. The ones that are a bit longer typically don't go too far over 15 minutes, except a couple of them where I was doing extensive walkthroughs and just showing you how things work on the back end of Etsy, on the inside. And so those ones are a bit longer. On every recording, you'll see how long it is. So if you need to run, you'll know whether or not you have time to listen to that, or you can just come back to it. You'll also be able to mark the ones that you've listened to as completed. So then that way you'll know that you've done something, or you've consumed that content. Oh yes, the other thing I was going to say is that it's divided into categories. And so there's the Launchpad, which is all the beginning stuff. And it's not only for beginners, it's also for you if you've been selling on Etsy for a while, but maybe you just jumped right into it and there were some things in the shop setup process that you never really got around to doing. So that section is good to just at least browse through to see if you've checked off all the boxes on setting up your Etsy shop the right way. Then there's the, what do I call it? Oh, the nice, well, it's not the nice to know section. It's the on the rise section. This is where I put what I consider intermediate information. And so here is where your shop is already up and running. And these are things that you can do to enhance your Etsy shop and enhance your selling experience. Then at the summit is where all the more advanced, and I call it advanced not because it's for advanced sellers, but it's for when you're ready to do more advanced things with your business. So you're ready to do promoted listings or start doing Google campaigns and things like that. Manufacturing, both through Etsy manufacturing and off of Etsy manufacturing. Like there are other ways to get into, I'm sorry, not manufacturing. Well, there's manufacturing, but then there's also wholesale as well. So all that more advanced stuff is going to be in the At the Summit category. Then there's the success updates, and this is where you'll get the newest articles and information about what's changing on Etsy, what new information they have out there for you. So those weekly emails, this is where you'll get the updates on what those are. The first three categories are more evergreen, things that are, I don't want to say stable, but things that don't really change much. And then the success updates are, oh, this is what's new, this is what you should know, this is what's going on, etc. And it's divided up into categories that make sense. So you'll know if you just want to see what Etsy is saying most recently about how to ship or how to ship internationally, you'll find that in the success updates section. And then the last section is seller challenges. My plan is at least every other month or once a month for us to do challenges together. And these challenges are where we will take on one particular task that has to do with your Etsy shop and really focus on getting good at that. And the first challenge I have set up is, I think it's one that has to do with listings and cleaning up our either tags or attributes, something like that. And so we'll take a month to do it together and just go through that particular challenge. It's a nice way to just have support from others in the community as we're working on one particular aspect of our Etsy shop and just making that better. And so these challenges are completely optional. You don't have to do them, but I'm going to try and make them fun and also educational along the way. And then later on down the road, I will be adding special resources. Every once in a while, I'll get approached by a vendor that offers services or products for sellers. And I am able to negotiate with them to get special pricing and special deals. And I've decided to restrict those to just people who subscribe to this community because I feel like I just want to reward you for being a part of the community. I think that's pretty much a general summary of it. I will put a link to the seller's resource so that you can read more about it, get more in-depth information about it, and decide whether or not it's something you think you want to be a part of. There's absolutely no pressure. And one other thing I do want to make clear is that the Etsy Conversations podcast that you currently listen to will be there. It's not changing. It will remain as it is. I will continue to interview interesting guests who are who come and share their selling experiences and teach you things that they've learned along the way. I'll continue to have those conversations with them, and that will always be available the same way you're getting that now. The seller's resource is something that's a bit more, it's a bit different in that it focuses strictly on just Etsy education and some things that aren't necessarily on the Etsy platform but have to do with your creative business as well, and not so much the interview style. It's more just one-on-one with me sharing information, and anyway, I'll let you read more about it. There's also a video tour if you want to see the inside of the community. Once you subscribe, there's a welcome tour video that walks you through all this and helps you navigate around the site. But I've also put that up on YouTube as well, so you can watch that if you just want to get a sneak peek and see what it looks like on the inside before you make that decision. Like I said, the Etsy Conversations podcast will be here, will continue to be here. I will continue to make those for you. But if you want more and you want a partner to walk alongside you as you grow your Etsy shop and your creative business, because I'll also be including information that talks about branching outside of Etsy, then seller's resources where you want to be. You will have one-on-one access to me in there. Going forward, that's where I will be spending a great majority of my time. I'll still come in here. I will still be part of this community, but the seller's resource is where my first attention will be, because that's currently my new baby. But don't worry, I'm not going to neglect this community. I will still be here. I appreciate every single one of you for being in here. And I will give you sneak peeks in here as well of things that are going on in the seller community, like when we're doing challenges and things of that nature. All right, this is now 13 minutes long. I thought I was only going to talk for 5 minutes, but I thank you for watching and thank you for listening. I will put a link to the new seller's resource in the comments section of this live video. And now that it's launched, and I consider this a soft launch because I haven't made a big, huge announcement on the podcast or anything of that nature. But now that it's launched, I will, I forgot what I was going to say. But, yes, I remember. I will be back doing these Facebook Lives on a regular basis. Thank you. Hi, Gabriella. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for this live session. I will be back again on Tuesday. I think I'm going to do Tuesday morning. I haven't yet firmed up the times I'll do this because I don't know what works best for you. So in the comments section, if a particular time of day works better for you for these live sessions, please leave a comment in the comment section. I'll be looking at that even after this has ended. And so whatever works best for most people, I would like you to be a part of this. And so then I'll work around that. And so it will be on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Let me know what I Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. And the link to the seller's resource will be in the comments for this video. Bye and have a good weekend. Happy Good Friday. Have a happy Easter, and I will be back next week.